What if the crisis you're feeling right now, the emptiness, the anxiety, the quiet ache that no success can silence, is not yours alone? What if it's the echo of something deeper, something ancient, forgotten by the modern world? Now imagine we could bridge time and space, summoning two of the greatest minds in human history to speak directly to this pain. On one side, Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who mapped the soul. On the other, the Buddha who pierced through illusion to find true liberation. What would happen if these two met not in theory, but in conversation? Today we witness that meeting, and it begins with a single question: how do we face the crisis of meaning haunting the modern world? Carl Jung. This crisis of meaning you see everywhere. It's a direct symptom of our profound disconnection from something ancient and deep within us, the collective unconscious. You see, when we build our lives on a foundation of pure reason and science alone, the soul is left to starve. This isn't just a theory. It's what I witnessed year after year in the faces of my patients. I saw an inner void, a hollow feeling that no amount of material success, no new gadget, no logical explanation could ever truly fill. The cure for this crisis is a journey I call individuation. It is a sacred pilgrimage inward, a courageous turning to face. The parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore, our shadow, our inner feminine and masculine, and the other archetypes that dwell in our depths. We can only find true meaning when we dare to look into the darkness of our own soul. I know many people fear this journey, but that very fear is a signpost pointing to the hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. The problem is, our living symbols have died. Traditional religions no longer speak to the modern heart, yet our desperate need for symbols that give life meaning has never been stronger. In this digital world, we are drowning in a sea of information, but we are dying of thirst for real wisdom. To heal this crisis, each person must discover their own personal myth, a story that weaves their life into the grand tapestry of the human experience, connecting them back to that collective wellspring. I guide people on this path through the careful study of their dreams, through active imagination, and through the difficult work of confronting their shadow. Dreams are letters from the self, messages from the deepest, most whole part of our being. When we learn to read them, we find our way home. This imbalance, this tilt toward pure materialism and cold rationality has created the emptiness we now feel. We must reconnect with the spiritual symbolic side of life, not by blindly following old dogmas, but through personal conscious discovery. It's a difficult path, yes, but the reward is a richness of soul that makes life truly worth living. This crisis isn't a curse, it's an invitation, a call to weave the darkness and the light of our existence back into a beautiful, unified whole. The Buddha. I feel the depth of this crisis you speak of, and I agree that our suffering is born from a disconnection with the deeper truths of the mind. However, from my perspective, the root of this suffering goes even deeper. It stems from our desperate grip on something that was never really there to begin with, a fixed, permanent self. The suffering of the modern world is the ancient suffering just in a new form. We are still searching for a solid, unchanging me to cling to, whether we seek it in wealth, in the fleeting fame of social media, or even in the quest for spiritual identity. But if we look closely with gentle attention, we see that this self is just a flowing river of 5 elements: our physical form, our feelings, our perceptions, our mental patterns, and our consciousness. All of them are constantly changing like clouds in the sky. Think about it. In this digital space you live in, people create multiple identities. This proves my point about anatta, or non-self. You play different roles, You curate different profiles. You manage a collection of selves. This daily experience shows you firsthand the transient and constructed nature of who you think you are. So my practical path for this crisis is meditation and mindfulness. The goal is not to find a deeper self, but to see with absolute clarity the impermanence of all things, including that which we call I. In your busy, hyper-stimulated world, this practice is perhaps more vital than ever before. Symbols, as you say, are important, but they too are empty of any fixed essence. They are rafts to cross the river of suffering, not destinations to become attached to. As a later Zen master said, "If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him." This means we must not turn the tools of liberation into another object of clinging. I propose the middle way. We don't have to deny our conventional experience of being an individual, but we must not cling to the idea of an eternal separate self. Through this mindful awareness, we can find peace and freedom right in the midst of the chaos of your world. This understanding blossoms into true compassion as we realize that every single being shares this same struggle, this same longing for peace. Carl Jung, Buddha. This is where our paths seem to diverge, yet also find fascinating parallels. You speak of impermanence with a clarity I deeply respect. But I believe you may be mistaking my concept of the self with the everyday ego. The self I speak of is not a fixed identity to be polished and displayed. It is the dynamic organizing center of the entire psyche, embracing both the conscious and the unconscious. It is a process of becoming whole, a wholeness that is never fully finished or known. In a way, your concept of emptiness, shunyata, resonates with this. It's not a void, but a field of infinite potential. And while I champion meditation and mindfulness, I believe for the modern person, it is only part of the journey. We don't just need emptiness, we need meaningful symbols to help us navigate it. These symbols, even if they are transient, are the very language of the soul. And think about the technology you mentioned. Why do we so eagerly project ourselves into the virtual world? Is it not a desperate search for a deeper connection, a modern way of casting out our archetypes to see them reflected back at us? While clinging to a fixed self is a source of pain, I believe that completely denying the personal dimension of our journey carries its own risks. My work emphasizes a deep engagement with the shadow, the dark, denied parts of our personality. It is precisely by turning towards and embracing these rejected aspects that my patients begin their journey toward wholeness. Perhaps my path is a bridge between the Western focus on the individual and the Eastern insight of non-self. I believe we can honor our unique individual journey while also realizing our profound connection to the whole. The Buddha, Jung. I understand yourself is a more complex concept, but my fundamental question remains, does not even this dynamic process of integration you describe ultimately lead to a new, more subtle form of attachment? An attachment to the idea of being an integrated person? I ask, because I have seen how easily people turn even spiritual concepts into new cages. In your world, people build shiny new identities out of self-knowledge and self-actualization, and these too become sources of pride and suffering. When we view individuation as an achievement, a prize to be won, is that not just another form of craving? You speak of connection with the unconscious. I suggest we look even deeper. In the quiet stillness of deep meditation, the very boundary between the conscious and unconscious dissolves. There is no me that needs to connect with anything. There is simply the seamless flow of experience. Your point on the shadow is vital. I too believe in facing our inner demons, but the goal is different. The aim is not to integrate them into a larger self, but to see them for what they are: impersonal, fleeting mental events, and thus be liberated from the illusion that these angry thoughts are me or this jealousy is mine. In a world filled with anxiety, people are desperate for something stable to hold on to. Your psychology offers them the hope of an integrated self, which is a great comfort. But does not true unshakable peace come from radically accepting that there is nothing permanent to hold on to? Look at the digital world. People suffer intensely over the image they project, seeking validation, wounded by comparison. The solution is not to build a stronger, more resilient self-image. The solution is to gently let go of the need for an image altogether. I believe that simple moment-to-moment awareness, without creating an identity, even the identity of the one who is aware, is the most practical and profound answer to the crisis of your time. Carl Jung, Buddha. Your point about attachment to spiritual concepts is profoundly true. It is a paradox I have seen myself. The search for wholeness can indeed become a new form of ego worship. The self I speak of, however, is not a thing to be acquired. It is a quality of being that holds both unity and uniqueness in a delicate balance. Our paths may be closer than they appear. My experiences with Kundalini Yoga have shown me those same transcendent states you describe, where the I dissolves. But for most modern people, jumping directly into that state is nearly impossible. Their psyche is too fragmented. They must first gather the scattered pieces of themselves. So I ask, is complete release from the concept of a self truly possible for everyone right now? My experience shows that most people first need to know the dimensions of their being, to meet their shadow, their anima, their animus, before they can even begin to let them go. In the digital world, people create these perfect online personas, which cast a very long and dark shadow. We must bring that shadow into the light first. Only then can we move beyond it. Perhaps our differences are a matter of culture and starting points. I work within a Western tradition that cherishes the individual, while you come from a tradition that begins by deconstructing it. And yet I feel both our paths lead to the same mountain peak, freedom from the illusion of separation and the experience of a deeper, more profound unity. The Buddha Jung, you ask an important question. Is this release possible for everyone? I believe the path is open to all, though we each walk it at our own pace, on our own terrain. It is a mountain with many trails to the summit. Your idea that one must first know the dimensions of their being before releasing them aligns perfectly with my eightfold path. To achieve liberation, one must first cultivate right view, right intention, and right action. This is perhaps your process of confronting the shadow, but framed differently. The crucial difference is that I describe this not as integration into a larger self, but as a gradual letting go. Mindfulness practice is precisely this, watching thoughts, feelings, and desires arise and pass away without labeling them as me or mine. In your world, where a person's worth is measured in likes and followers, this is the ultimate act of rebellion and freedom. I agree, our cultural starting points are different, but I am glad we both point toward a freedom from the prison of the separate self. Perhaps the difference is in method, not in the ultimate destination. The middle way, I propose, is neither a denial of our individual experience nor an attachment to any self, no matter how transcendent. For the crisis of your world, perhaps we need an approach that blends our perspectives, an approach that honors our individual responsibility to walk our unique path while remaining ever aware that the self walking this path is in the end a beautiful, transient, and interconnected miracle. And so our extraordinary conversation comes to a close. Two paths, two languages, pointing toward the same moon. A journey of integration and a journey of release. Both offering a profound remedy for the aching soul of our time. We hope this dialogue has sparked something within you. A question, an insight, a moment of clarity. Before you go, if ideas like these resonate with you, consider subscribing to our channel for more journeys into the mind. Until next time, keep exploring.